Alright, so this video is going to be about the things I don't like about the Sena Prism. You know, there's lots of videos out there that you can watch if you want to see all the benefits, you know, from guys that are just trying to kiss Sena's ass. But I'm going to just tell you the things I don't like about this camera, and then you can make your decision whether or not this is a camera that you want to have for yourself. So, at first glance, you take a look at all these different mounting options that come with a camera, and it seems like Sena has given you a lot. And they have. I mean, I don't want to downplay that. They have definitely given you a lot. But there's also a lot missing. So first, we'll just look at this main connection here. And this is good if you plan on mounting it on the side of your helmet, like this. Get that out of there. So this is good if you want to side mount on the right side. Now, if you wanted to mount on the other side, one of the problems with this mount is that it's the way it's designed. There's only one groove on one side, so I can't flip this mount around to clip it to the other side of the Sena. So you can only mount it in one way using this helmet clamp. So when you go on the other side, the camera, you know, would be facing backwards. The camera would be facing backwards. Now, to Sena's credit, they have an option inside, built into the Prism, called the upside down mode. So you can actually just, you know, because this swivel ball is so flexible, you can swivel it around and have the camera upside down while you're recording, and then just switch on the upside down mode if you wanted to have your camera on the left side. Which is a little, you know, it's nice. It's nice that they have that, but it still seems to me like a bit of a design flaw. You know, if this clamp could clamp on the other side, you would solve that problem without needing to go into this upside down mode. So Sena does give you a nice protective case, which, you know, again, like most of the Sena stuff, most of the Prism stuff anyway, it seems like it's great at first until you start looking at trying to actually mount it. Sena doesn't really give you any way to mount it except like horizontally, except on like the top of the helmet, like I have here. They give you all these mounting options, but for the case, you know, you really need to use this little screw here. This little screw thing goes into, you know, the bottom of the camera, you know, into this little screw hole. Well, there's one on here. And then you can slide this into one of these quick release things. And one of these quick release things would somehow be attached here. So the only one we really have is this one ball, right? So this is a Sena's little ball joint. So I'll just pop that out. And we can pop this in here. And so now I can use this mount to connect to the base here. But this will only, you know, swivel up this high. It will never get perpendicular to the helmet. So you can't, so your camera is going to be off at an angle like that, or it's going to be at 90 degrees, which, you know, is going to require some extra editing. What they really need is they need like a double ball joint, something like this, where, you know, you can stick it into here and then swivel off of that end so that, you know, you can get it a nice 90-degree elbow in there. And, you know, so unfortunately that's just not an option today. Maybe Sena will do something about that in the future. But currently, as far as I can tell, there's only one option for this case, and that is top of the helmet. One other flaw with this mounting system, they kind of missed an opportunity here with these clips and these clips are proprietary. They don't go with a GoPro. So I've got a GoPro clip here, and this there's no way to force that fucking thing in there. And if I grab a GoPro case, yeah, it almost clips in there, but it doesn't quite. So I mean, there's probably patent reasons why they couldn't do that, but I think they kind of missed a good opportunity there to make these compatible with GoPro to make the camera just a little bit more viable. And speaking of the mounts, there's currently no way to buy additional pieces. Right, so if you want an extra little sticky pad thing here, you know, to mount on a new helmet, you know, God forbid I replace this helmet and get a new helmet, there's currently no way to buy more of these. I'd have to, you know, heat it up and pry this off of the helmet and get some new 3M tape to stick it back on, which is a minor inconvenience, but it still kind of sucks. So if you if you do break this case, as far as I know, as of this recording, there's no way to buy a new case. I realize this because I went looking for an additional battery. The battery on this lasts about the same as the other action cameras. You know, it lasts about 2 hours. And when I go riding, I tend to go riding for longer than 2 hours. And I bought this, you know, I was one of the pre-orders. I pre-ordered this and waited, you know, 6, 8 months, whatever it was, for the thing to be released. And when I initially got it, I only have the one battery, and I couldn't purchase another one. I had to wait until February, so 3 months. I had to wait 3 months to get extra batteries. So I finally have some extra batteries for my Prism. But there's no charger. Motherfuckers. There's no way to charge these batteries other than to stick them in your camera, which sucks a bag of dicks. So you have to keep popping the batteries out and putting new batteries in to charge up these batteries, which maybe they'll fix in the future. But again, as of this recording, there is no option to get a charger. So when you finally do get around to needing to charge up your battery, your first problem you're going to run into is this cable. You know, look at this cable. You know, it's only maybe 18 inches long, which is great if you're using a laptop, but God forbid if you use a desktop computer that has no USB in the front, this cable just is very damn short, and it's just very inconvenient to work with, in my opinion. You know, I'm used to at least a 3-foot cable. This isn't it. You know, this is half of that at least. You know, I haven't measured it. It might be smaller than that, but it looks to me about 18 inches. When you do get around to charging it, you know, they have this little flap here to pull it down so that you can put the cable inside the Prism and then connect it to your USB, which I'll do now. Hold on. Okay, so I got my laptop, and now I'm charging this battery. And you can't tell. There's like almost no way to tell that this battery is charging or whether or not it's full. The only way to tell if this battery is charging or not is to open up the back door here to get into the back of the Sena Prism. So when you open up this back case, you can see there's a very small little hole here that has a little LED light, and I don't know if you're getting that in that angle, but that light there is the only indicator that this is charging or it's not. So this is red right now, so that means it's charging. Yeah, and when it's full, it'll be blue. And I gotta ask Sena why, because they have a LED right here externally. You know, when I power this thing on, look, hey, look, a pretty red light, pretty red LED. And guess what? That LED changes colors. Ooh. Oh, you only see that if I undo this. So change modes. Oh, look at that, blue. Oh, it changes green and purple. It's fantastic. So they have an LED on the outside, yet for some silly ass reason, they're using the LED inside to indicate the battery life. And then if you're looking here, let me get this really close. This is the little display, and you notice it has two bars there. You know, there's two bars indicating, you know, one is for the battery, you know, which, you know, it shows my battery is full right now. But the other one is, you know, believe it or not, that's a disk. That's showing you how much space is used or available on your disk. And right now, this thing's empty. But, you know, if there were videos on here, it would show that decreasing. So it's, you know, even having it powered on, you know, when it's connected. Let me pause and connect this. All right, so now it's connected, and it's showing you the standard USB connection thing, and it's showing that it's charging. But that charge thing never changes. You know, when this is powered on, even if you know, this thing is full, when it's powered on, it never seems to change over to a full battery. So you can never tell when the Sena is powered on whether or not the battery is full, which sucks. And you can never tell how much percentage it is charging. You know, it just says, you know, it's got that little lightning bolt there showing that it's charging. Another issue I've encountered is an issue that can only be described as white noise. All right, there we go. Prism's now connected. Now, one of the things that I am noticing is a white noise issue with the Prism. So as you can see, I've got my little mic in there right next to my speakers, and I'm going to plug in the mic right now into my GoPro, and then I'm going to press the record button on the Prism, and you'll see that the white noise will kick in. All right, so here we go. All right, so the mic should now be live inside the helmet. And now if I turn on the Prism.
Recording.
And I can hear the white noise from out here, you know. I can hear that white noise. And hopefully you can hear that pretty well right inside of there. And again, that's just the Sena recording. Now, as soon as I turn it off,
recording stopped.
The white noise goes away. Now I'm going to show that in the video, right? In the video, at the same time, you'll hear that white noise in the video, in the recording. Watch this.
Recording.
I can hear a white noise from out here. You know, I can hear that white noise. I actually opened a ticket with Sena about this, and apparently there's an issue with the SMH10 or certain SMH10s and the Prism. So here's my replacement Sena. This is a newer SMH10. I had to RMA through Sena in order to get this new headset. And let me get everything connected. Prism is now connected. Okay, and let me throw my speaker back on here. My mic, stupid idiot. All right, so my mic is now, you know, very close to those little speakers. These are the speakers. And now when I press record,
recording,
you can still hear that white noise. You know, you can still hear the white noise in the speakers.
Recording stopped.
But the difference now is when we listen back to the video, there's nowhere near as much white noise. So I'll play that now.
Recording.
You can still hear that white noise. You know, you can still hear the white noise in You'll notice that, the white noise is almost gone, but it's definitely still there. They still have somewhat of a white noise issue, and maybe Sena will fix that in the future, but who knows. One of the other limitations I've found is that the Prism can only support a 32 gigabyte microSD card. There's 64s, and I think there's 128s available, but currently Sena only supports 32. If you throw a 64 in there, it just doesn't recognize it. It won't see the disk at all. Won't let you use it at all. So I'm sure that's probably something they can fix with a firmware update, but as of the time of this recording, 32 gigs is all you get. So check for latest firmware updates. Current firmware is 1.0.0.0, so there has been no firmware update. Another limitation is the 780p by 30 frames per second. Now, initially I thought this really isn't a big deal, and for some of you it might not be, but then YouTube went ahead and started accepting uploads at 60 frames per second. So it's more desirable at this point to shoot at higher resolutions. And then I look back at the competitors and the competitor history, and I think the GoPro Hero 1, the first release of the Hero, could shoot at 1080p at 30, and that was like in 2010. So this thing is like years behind in the camera technology. So for a camera that's released in almost 2015, you would think it would be up to snuff with its competitors, but it's not even close. I mean, it's years behind in technology. The Bluetooth technology way ahead, camera technology way behind. Another limitation is there's no way to plug in an external mic. So if you're Royal Jordanian or someone that just wants to record external audio, you have to suffer with this internal mic, and you have no option. That's it. So if you're not using a Bluetooth headset, there's pretty much no point in getting this camera. Another issue with this camera is you can't listen to music while the Prism is connected to your Bluetooth. Now that might be a limitation with the SMH10. I think that isn't a problem with the SMH20, but if you don't have an SMH20 like me, and you're using the SMH10, just know that when this camera's powered on, you can't listen to your music, which kind of blows. So if you're driving down the road and you want to listen to music and record, you'll have to turn off Bluetooth on the camera and just record with the external mic. Another issue I've noticed, if you look at the footage that I'll show here of the night ride I did on Blood Mountain, you'll see that the Prism, when there's very low light, it adds an awful lot of yellow into the capture, which just, that's not how the world looks, but it does in this camera's eyes. So just be aware that if you're shooting in dark places, this camera is a little off. All right, another limitation is there's no, they have a Sena Prism app, which is nice, and you can go through the settings without having to try to mess with the buttons on this thing. That's pretty helpful, but there's no way to look at live footage. There's no way to see what you're recording. If you look at the GoPro app, you can look, and you can, if you have a version of GoPro that doesn't have the little viewfinder, you can look at it on your phone, and it'll show you, what you're recording. The Prism doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I don't think it's possible for them to do that yet. I guess that's another limitation. There's no Wi-Fi capability in this camera. Another thing that's kind of a pain is the naming conventions of the files that the Prism stores. It doesn't have any sort of local memory that saves what the last name of a file was. It seems like there should be, you know, like if you're familiar with GoPro, whenever you delete files off the GoPro, it remembers that the last file you used was GoPro 123. You know, that was the name of the last file, and so the next one it records will be named GoPro 1234 or 124, because I can't count. But with the Prism, every time you clear it and every time you wipe off the files, it restarts the numbering. So you'll have 20 files named Prism 001, and it's hard to copy the files over. It's hard to, you know, I say hard, it's not that hard, but I mean, it's more difficult than it should be to copy files from the Prism over to your hard drive and then keep them organized, because all of your files will have the same file name. All right, so there you have it. That's my review of the Sena Prism. Hopefully this helps you to make an informed decision when you're considering buying your action camera. Me personally, I think the camera is pretty cool. You know, it has some great features and it has a lot of potential. But as it stands, I think it's probably overpriced. Probably it needs to be cut in half, to be honest. If you compare other cameras at the $400 range, which is what this Sena Prism currently sells for, you know, you could have got a GoPro 4. And if I could go back in time and rethink the decision, I would have gone with a GoPro 4 instead of getting this Sena Prism. So that's just my opinion. You know, you're certainly welcome to make your own choices, but hopefully this has helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Until next time, see ya!